Hey guys, this is Hex, and in today's video, I'm going to be doing another Elder Scrolls Online um, basic tutorial for beginners. This one will be focusing on combat, specifically pre-combat. This is also good. The combat is actually also going to be a two-parter, so bear with me on that. Before I begin, I wanted to clarify something from the last video that I made a mistake on. I did have it in the description, but in case you didn't read it, um, the mount merchant, this is related to the mount merchant. Um, while your mounts do carry over to the rest of the characters that you make, so in other words, if you get a Palomino, everybody's going to get a Palomino. The traits that you buy, that you shout the 250 for, that will not carry on to the other, the same Palominos that the other characters have. So in other words, each character is going to have to shout 250 in a nutshell. Okay, so back to the topic at hand. We're going to be discussing the pre-combat. You can do some of this stuff on the fly, but I prefer, better be safe than sorry. So if you're in a safe area, go ahead and do this. So what you're wanting to do is you're wanting to have the best armor and you want to have the best weapons before you even set out. So what you want to do is you want to go to your inventory, and let's say I'm going to go in my helmet section. And as you can see, I have two different helmets to choose from. Now what you want to look at is the armor number. That's this one's 1417 and this one's 1632. Obviously, the higher number is the better one. So you always, even on weapons, the higher, for the weapons, the higher the damage, the better it is. Now you notice too that they're two different colors. This is just how common an item is. For example, this one is white, so this is pretty standard. This is your flat out normal armor. This one's a little not as common. This is categorized as fine. But the categories is as follows. You have white, normal, green, fine, blue, superior, purple, epic, and orange, legendary. Now, the chances of you getting an orange early on the beginning is pretty much nil, so don't even worry about that. But as you can see, I have greens and I have a purple, which is rare, but and as you can see, it has a 986 armor, which is good. But I will tell you, just because it's rare doesn't necessarily mean the armor quality will be like the armor number will be higher than anything you're gonna get. Like as far as let's say I got something blue, it might actually have like a higher armor number. So what you're really wanting to focus on, I mean, rarity is nice, but you're really wanting to focus on the armor number, and as well as, maybe specifically what it does. Like for example, my gauntlets of stamina add 109 maximum stamina. Now weapon wise, well, let me get back into it. The same, the same thing. You want to equip your best weapons of what you're wanting. As you can see, I have, excuse me, main hand backup and offhand backup. All that means is when you reach level 15, you have an option to swap your weapons. Now, when you do that, basically when you go to main hand backup, you just choose the item that you want to have as backup. And when you do this, let's say I draw out my main weapon by hitting R2. If I have a main hand backup as well as a shield backup, if I just tap the left on the directional pad, you see that? I can actually switch between weapons, just depending on what circumstances. Now, anytime I want to sheath the weapon, you just hold down left. And it's the same thing if you have your backup, you just hold down your left. So let me sheath this for a minute. Okay, now what we want to do now, excuse me, is we want to also prepare any kind of potions or items that we want to hotkey. Um, now, this could be any potion that could be for health, stamina, magic, and as well as any other useful items that you might have. So what you want to do is you want to go back into the inventory and you want to go specifically into consumables. Now let's say I have a potion that I want to keep on me and use, anytime I need it. But you can, like anything else, you can like go in the inventory and try to use it while you're being attacked, which I wouldn't recommend it because you will get the absolute crap beat out of you. So it's always better to hotkey everything. So for let's example, I want to have this filter of magicka. So as you can see down at the very bottom, there's a option to assign it, which by tapping square. And as you can see, it brings up my hotkey circle. Now if you take your right analog stick, and you can either swap an item out of each square, or you can just find one that's empty. You just select it by using your right analog stick, and once you select it, you can let go of your right analog. You don't have to keep it held. So what you want to do now is you tap X to assign, and there it is. It's assigned. And as you can see, as you see from my list of consumables, the check mark means they're assigned. Alright, so let's get out of this for a minute. So if I want to use one specifically before a battle even happens, if I press up on the directional pad and keep it held, and as you can see, it brings up my hotkey circle. Use the right analog stick again to select which one I want. So right now, let's say I want to use a filter of health. I want to keep it, or no, I take it back. Filter of magicka. So I highlight it, and then all you gotta do is once you have it highlighted, you can let go of the analog stick, and then after you select the one that you've gotten, just let go of the up button on the directional pad, or D-pad as it's commonly called. And then once you do that, if you want to use that potion, all you gotta do is tap up on directional pad. Now, as you can see on the very bottom left screen, you notice that it has my little potion thing up and little icon of the D-pad, and as you notice, it's starting to fill up. That's a timer. That's to prevent people from using potions really quickly. So once that fills up, you'll be able to use the potion or item again once it's filled up. You just grab this. Okay, and anytime you want to switch again, let's say you're thinking, and the timer applies to all the potions. So as you can see, it's slowly filling up. It just now finished, so it's not like you can use one right after the other pretty quickly. So if I decide, well, I'd rather have this, keyed, just use directional pad again to select. So I've selected that, so I can let go of my right analog stick, and then I can let go of my up button on my directional pad, and now that's selected. Now another thing you want to be concerned with is anything that you might run into. What can you fight, and what you can't fight. Now a lot of these things you can fight anyway. Some of these things will get you into trouble, especially if you're in the city, and it might get the authorities after you. And some of them, won't. It just depends. Like for example, if I point my cursor at this guy right here, you notice that he's highlighted as a yellow, which means he's a friendly. I can walk up to him and nothing will happen. Now I can attack him and kill him to get let's say meat if I need it, but that's only if you absolutely have to have it. I see people attack a lot of critters just so they kind of get experience for it, which you can do. If you highlight anything like guards, it will tell you specifically. Like for example, this is a pack guard, and as you can see, he's pretty tough, just judging by you see his little kind of gold bar going on. I wouldn't recommend attacking a guard because they will kill you in about 2 seconds flat, and you will be wanted, which I will get into that later. As you can see, I'm pointing at this bedding etch, which is yellow, which is essentially a friendly. Let me see if I can find somebody. Okay, for example, like this person right here, if I highlight, well, if I can catch him for about 2 seconds, if you highlight him, you can see it gives what level he is, which is level 5, and his name, and you also see he has like a blue bar over his character, but over a character himself. As you can see, level 5, it gives his name, and he has a red bar, right below my radar. Now, let's go on a little bit further to maybe like a character that's like maybe.
Hello.
See if I can find somebody over here that has like a different bar or altogether. Okay, you see this thing right here, which I cannot remember how to pronounce it, so forgive me. I don't, Droog maybe, I'm not for sure. But as you can see, he's highlighted in red, which means is if you get close enough to him, or he sees you, he will attack you. Another thing you want to focus on too is, as you can see, like on the bottom screen, any kind of magic that I'm going to be using. So if you go up to, let's say, your skills, and let's say you're wanting to choose a specific, like maybe weapon trait, or in the case of this, maybe like a class skill, or just any of these light armors, or these like soul magic, or if you're in a guild, or if you're just have like, pretending on like you have a class skill. Like let's say I choose Ardent Flame, for example. This is already telling me right now what I have highlighted, and if you, in order to assign things, let's say I want to assign well, let's say I want to assign like Lash, which I already have it assigned, but this is just purely for example. If I tap square to assign, I can basically assign it to any one of these I want, with the exception of like that last one, and that's for a specific power. But so let's say I wanted to put it in circle, all you gotta do is just tap X again to assign it to that particular square. And you do these for any kind of like I said, any kind of weapon skill you want to use, or any kind of fighter's guild, maybe magic that or skill that you can use, or racial skill, or anything like that. Which I don't think you can actually do this on. Yeah, you can't really do it on the blacksmithing or anything like that. But this just pertains to stuff like fighting, like your magic, and as well as your weapons and your magic. But that's all I wanted to talk to you guys about today. I will get into the actual combat itself in the next video. Please please subscribe if you haven't done so already, and give me a thumbs up. And as usual, just give me more comments on stuff that you may think I missed, or maybe you have questions on that maybe I wasn't specific enough on. And as usual, I appreciate your guys' support, and I will see you guys soon.